actually, the majority view is that that's actually not the case. That Adam and Eve were actually created from the same soul. So from that standpoint, in addition to that, within sort of judgment, rights, if you look at sort of particularly when the Quran came down, it was really revolutionary in certain respects because it granted women property rights. We're talking about, this is in 700s, right? So property rights were given, property rights with regard to what they invested in, what they were allowed to inherit, they were not allowed to be inherited. Things that, medieval Europe, Africa, other parts of the world are still struggling. In addition to that, rights with regard to being witnesses, etc., also not. However, there are things within the Quran which indicate a different role, if you will, or different standing with regard to men and women as it relates to the family structure, right? So within the family structure, it's not that women are considered to be less than men. Absolutely not. The Quran is very clear. Well, actually, the Hadith, the Sunnah is very clear that a mother's position is more elevated than a father's position. There's a tradition that says that the Prophet is asked, what's it called, with regard to paradise, and says it's at the feet of your mother, and repeats that 3 different times when someone comes to inquire. But where I think the disparities come up are regarding sort of the role of man as the head of the household, and that man has certain responsibilities as head of the household, and the woman has certain responsibilities in her role in the household as well. Now, what ends up happening in that is that a man is required in the Quran to provide for the family. That's a responsibility. If you look at that, some of us might take that for granted, but if you look in a lot of parts of the developing world, women are actually the ones who end up providing for the families because men are not living up to that obligation. So this is something that the Quran talks about with regard to structuring the household. Does that mean that a man always should dominate a woman? Everything the man says or the husband says goes? Absolutely not. It's considered to be a partnership. And Muslims are supposed to look at the practice of the Prophet Muhammad as the way to interpret how this family dynamic is supposed to exist. And from the practice of the Prophet Muhammad, every Muslim will tell you, you talk to any Muslim, no matter how puritanical they are. So did the Prophet ever touch his wife? Did he ever, in terms of beat her, right, or hit her? And they will be absolutely not. And they will be violently sort of defending that position. No, absolutely not. And so it's something which occurs in Muslim society. In the Quran, there are some difficult verses as well, as it relates to, for instance, witnesses in court trials, things like that, in terms of men and women. But for the most part, there's this notion of spiritual equality that exists, and what's called, that's something which carries over within the family situation as well. You talked about, I think, dress as well, in terms of dress. There's debate within Muslims as to what the requirements are, according to the Quran, as to how to cover it, right? As a woman and as a man. There are instructions really both. But the idea of head coverage, you'll find that in the Muslim world, it varies, right? In parts of Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, the head covering is usually just a small sort of scarf that's just draped over the head. Perfectly normal. In Syria, in parts of Lebanon, etc., it's a tighter covering around it. In Saudi Arabia, they'll cover it. All of this, and in each of those countries, you'll have variations. For instance, in Pakistan, most of the women in my family don't cover their hair, right? They don't believe it's required. In my immediate family, one sister covers her head, one sister doesn't cover her head, right? So the thing is, those are, and when you talk to them and ask them, they'll give you their different interpretations as to what is required of them, and they'll each base it upon the Quran. They'll be just as fervent about it. They will fight it out with each other, but they'll be like, no, God requires this, or no, God doesn't. That they will be having their own theological debate. And that underscores actually a general point that I wanted to make earlier. The type of lively religious differences that exist within my own family at my dinner table probably mimic the religious differences that exist in some of my more devout Christian friends and Jewish friends, etc., with their parents, right? There are generational things there. That's how we look at Scripture. There are just philosophical differences. My brother and I philosophically approach the Quran and Islamic tradition in very different ways. And there's, I think, space for that. So I think I covered with regard to women, I feel like there were a couple questions in there. I think I covered most of them, but simply put, spiritual equality, absolutely, there are areas where there are differences considered to be between men and women, not inherently, but in terms of the system that the Quran talks about. And for that, yeah, there's a approach and disparities in Muslim society, absolutely, but there are a lot of movements, both women and men, that are trying to address it from a variety of different standpoints.
Let me just say one thing about that. From my reading, there's the idea that originally with Muhammad and the original Muslims, the women did not cover themselves, their heads or their faces, but that they picked that up from the Byzantine Christians who did, and the Persians who did, who had that practice. And then there's one other source that's a possible source, that Muhammad felt that his wives should cover themselves to protect them from the other men who were around. Yeah.
So that's not completely early on. There was in the medieval times. In medieval times, which carries on to today to some degree, the notion of a woman who covered her head signified a level of nobility and modesty. And hence, nuns always covered their head. If you go to Orthodox synagogue, women cover their head, etc. So that concept was even present in pre-Islamic Arabia of noble women covering their head. And so that notion of nobility then was adapted in Islam to say, listen, cover your head and be noble when you're out there, as a way of sort of dignifying yourself within society, etc. So to some degree, the Persian and Byzantine examples are where this notion of nobility and coverage of the head
millions of children, and now acknowledging that you gentlemen do not speak for all of Islam, but millions of children in the name of Islam, in their cultures, have their genitalia cut. And I'd like to hear your interpretation of that.
Ouch. This is exactly what you're saying. So, ouch. Ouch not for that. Ouch for that perspective. The simple fact is that genital mutilation is not a source text in the Quran or in the Sunnah. It's a local culture that some cultures where there are Muslims and Christians living, parts of East Africa, there are Christians and Muslims and animists, all countries. All.
Female or male?
I'm talking about female. Issue at heart. Christians, animists, and Muslims do that in East Africa. And it has nothing to do with this. Okay? You go to Syria, Muslim women and Muslim scholars and Muslims in general, Syria, which is where my wife is from, would say, what? Are you nuts? Okay. So this is a cultural practice that I think some scholars, a real small minority of scholars, have sort of co-opted as part of this contribution. It's really a cultural practice, particularly female genital. Now, the male circumcision, this is part of the tradition that has been handed down in the text of the Quran, and it's attributed back to Abraham. So that is very much like the Christian and Jewish tradition. That continues to this day. Right? Men are required to be circumcised. But female genital mutilation, the female circumcision, as some Muslims who support that might propose to you, finds no basis in ethics. Now, I want to connect that back to the original question of women. One of the challenges I think that we have is that we live in American society, which has produced innumerable Hollywood movies that have raised whole multiple generations of people viewing Muslim women in certain ways. And while there are some truths, there are lots of fantasies woven in too. So Jack Shaheen talks about the 3 Bs in his book Real Bad Arabs. He talks about the billionaires, the bombers, and the belly dancers. Right? The billionaire Arabs, the bomber Arabs, the terrorists, and all these belly dancers that these Arabs and all Muslims have. This idea of objectifying the harem. Harems did exist in Muslim societies. They had their own dynamic. Harems exist in Byzantine society and in Persian society, pre and post Islam. Okay? Harems were part and parcel of an experience of a period and culture. But